With the second set of geometry notes, this is the section 1-3 measuring segments. It is going to be notes number 5 and assignment number 7. You can see on there that I wrote down a different assignment. If you have not adjusted the assignment to what's up here on the screen, please do so now on your sheet of paper. I made it really clear up here what the assignment is. I changed it. Remember I told you I didn't want you to have two separate assignments. I didn't want you to have like a crazy long assignment of two separate worksheets. So I took it and cut them each one in half and put them all into one worksheet. So we're going to be doing WS 1-2 and 1-3.
We're skipping 6. And then put 8.
We're skipping...
On the paper, skip 6 and
Yes.
type up.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Okay, guys, here we go. So, getting started on this set of notes, we are dealing with formulas. This geometry test that you take at the end, the EOC, is going to be very heavy formula based. If the formulas are on the EOC formula sheet, I am going to provide that to you every test day in this class. However, not every formula is on there. The basic, distance, and midpoint on a number line are not included on the formula sheet, so when we go over these formulas, I would highlight them, star them, do something so you remember these formulas. First, it's called the distance on a number line. When you're dealing with the distance on a number line, the formula is the absolute value of the first number minus the second number. We write it down as A minus B with absolute value bars on the outside of it. Guys, just in case someone didn't teach you correctly or you missed it somewhere along the way, absolute value just means distance. Anybody ever seen Ferris Bueller where he tries to run the wheels backwards and the mileage doesn't go down? That's because if you go forward, it's taking steps. If you go backwards, you're still covering a distance. You're still taking steps. If I go 2 steps forward and 2 steps back, I've still covered 4 steps. Doesn't matter that I end up right back where I started at. Okay? So absolute value means distance. The thing about distance is always going to be positive. Always. So when we write this down, it's going to be the absolute value of R minus W. R is going to be 4. W is going to be negative 2. So it's going to be 4 minus negative 2 with absolute value bars around it. Guys, a double negative is really a what? Positive. So what is 4 plus 2? 6. And what is the absolute value of 6? Don't change the sign, drop the sign. What's the absolute value of 6?
6.
Just 6. Thank you. Just 6. I know it's like I don't want to mess this up. Y'all, try it. It's okay. It's just 6. Distance is just the number without a symbol on it. So here we go. The next one. Find x, y. Oh, questions before I go on? Yes, please. Tell me.
So I see here it says R by R, but when it says W, it's negative 2 by 2.
That's because what we started with was 4 minus negative 2, and because the formula has a minus in it, and a double negative is really a positive. So I did add the opposite and got rid of that. That's a very good question. Yes?
Isn't absolute value just like a number of distances?
It is, but we're not talking about from 0, we're talking about between 2 points. Yes. Yes, it is. But distance, in this case, absolute value between 2 specific points is actually not going to just stop at 0. Now listen to me also, guys. There's a reason I'm doing the formula. I know that you can just count on this number line. This number line is nice. It has all the little numbers on here. I could just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see that? Only problem is this is what they're going to give you on the EOC. They're going to draw a number line, and on this number line it's going to have like negative 3 right here, and it's going to have like 4 right here, and then it's going to have like 18 here. Are those evenly spaced?
No.
If I count, is it going to give me the right amount if I just go 1, 2? No. That's why we have to use the formula, because not every number line is going to give you all the points in between, or just give you, they're going to give you ones that aren't evenly spaced and do weird things on the EOC. They love to try to mess you up. Have you not figured that out yet? They are trying to trick you. So we're trying to give you the formula so that you don't have to worry about that. Okay, let's do the next one. X, Y. What is X? What?
0 minus 6.
0 minus 6. What's 0 minus 6, guys? Negative 6, and what's the absolute value of negative 6? 6. Those distances are the same even though they ended up inside the bars as different amounts. Positive 6 and negative 6, though, when you look at them as distance, are still 6 steps. So it's going to be the same distance even though it's positive and negative. Once you take the absolute value, it turns them both into 6. Anybody have any questions on the distance formula? That is the distance between 2 points on a number line. Wonderful, guys. The next one is averaging. Guys, finding a midpoint means finding the middle by averaging. You've been doing averages since you were in like 5th grade. To average something, you add and divide by however many you're adding. You're always going to be adding 2 here, so you're going to be adding and dividing by 2 every time. So this is what it looks like. A fraction where you add the 2 things on the top, a plus b, and you divide by 2. That's all we're doing. Add and divide by 2. Add and divide by 2. And we do this a lot. Later on, like it turns into the midpoint on a coordinate plane and it gets more complicated. So this formula we use a lot. Just build it up. Okay, R and W. If we're dealing with R and W, what are the 2 numbers? What and what?
4 and negative
4 plus negative 2. This formula has a plus in it. That's a different thing. It's plus, so it's 4 plus negative 2 divided by 2. 4 plus negative 2. What's 4 plus negative 2?
2.
Over 2, and 2 over 2 is 1. The midpoint would be 1. It would be right here in the middle. It would be in the middle between them. Okay. The next one is going to be x, y. If we're looking for x and y, we're looking over here for the numbers for x and the numbers for y. They are 0 and 6. But what are we doing with the 0 and 6? Adding them, very good, adding them. 0 plus 6 divided by 2. It's going to be, bless you, 6, bless you. 6 over 2, which is 3. That is exactly correct. Wonderful. Does anybody have any concerns, questions? I'm sorry, sweetie. If you need tissues, feel free to get up and get it. Okay, just making sure.
Okay, so when we doing this, we always,
Guys, hold on, I can't hear. What?
Never mind, I asked my own question.
Okay. I love that. I took care of myself. Anybody else? Okay. Now the next part is going to get into, well, let's just show you. Here we go. Okay, for the next part of this, we're going to get into a concept. Now, guys, if you had me for algebra, you know, when we have a concept that's going to show up over and over and over again, I try to like, hey, this is big. We're going to see this a lot. This is a big one. This seems like no big deal, but we use this algebraically all year long. This is called the segment addition postulate. It is also called, just so we can get this down because you're going to hear me say this a lot, a part plus a part equals the whole. You're going to hear me say that a lot throughout the year. This works for angles. This deals with segments. This deals with all kinds of different problems in a circle. You're going to see this concept show up a great deal. Today we're just talking about it with segments. You have 3 points that are all in a line. That's called collinear. B is in the middle of those points. It doesn't say it's in the center, like it doesn't say it's equally spaced, but it's somewhere on that line in between. You've got these 2 parts. You've got this part right here that's AB. You've got this part right here that's BC. And if you add those together, you get the whole thing of AC. If you add a part plus a part, you get the whole. Okay? So, we're going to start with just arithmetic, just basic numbers. Yes, before I go on. I thought you had a hand up. Okay, you're good. You're fine. So, we start off with DE equals 2 and EF equals 7, and we want to know the whole thing. If you have the 2 parts, to find the whole, all you do is add them. 2 plus 7 to get the whole thing of DF is going to be a total of 9. Okay, so if I take that 2 plus 7, it gives me 9. That's if I have the parts. However, they don't always give you the parts. Sometimes they give you the whole and you got to work backwards. Guys, what's backwards from addition? Subtraction. So let's show you what it looks like. And I'm also going to show you how to work on a problem. You're going to need to draw on your picture. You're going to have more than one problem that goes with the picture. This is what I would do. If we know, excuse me, if we know that DF right here is 41, I would circle this to separate it from the other numbers. And we know that EF is right here, it's 33. Circle that. I need to figure out a way to work backwards and find the other part. So we just said that we work backwards and we subtract. So we're going to subtract those numbers. 41 minus 33 is going to give me the other part, that DE, which is going to be what? 8? Just 8? There we go. That means DE right there would be 8. Now, since you have a third problem on the same picture, I would now box in the next ones. So for this next one, we've got DE right here is 14. Put a box around it. We've got DF, that's the whole thing all the way across the bottom. That's going to be 37. So what can I do to find that EF, that other part of that piece? Subtract. What am I going to subtract?
37 to 14.
No. I think you mean 37 minus 14. When you say from, though, it turns it around. Is that what you, I think that's what you meant. It's just the saying it backwards. Yeah. 14 from 37. That was correct. I don't know where it came from over here, but thank you. And what does that give us in the end for that distance for EF? 23. So EF would be 23. Does anybody have any questions, concerns before we apply this to algebra? Because our next thing is to turn this into an algebra problem with geometry. Yeah, this is why we review algebra, because we're going to use it every day, guys. Doesn't go away. Okay, part plus a part equals a whole, but now we're going to do it with algebra problems. It's going to be algebraic. The only thing that's new is the geometry, which is the setting the problem up. Everything from there on is just algebraic. So let's show you what we mean by this. Okay, we have a problem that says to find x and PM, that means find the distance between P and we want to know how long it is. If M is between P and Q, so we've got M right here between P and Q. It says that PM is 7x. Look, I already labeled this one. I didn't label this one. You're going to fill it in yourself. But this one already has the 7x labeled. It already has the 45 labeled for the PQ. And it already has the 5x minus 3 labeled on the MQ. Now your job is to set up the equation that would be a part plus a part equals a whole. So what part am I adding first?
5x minus 3.
You could do that. I would go in order just because I'm like an algebra teacher too. So I would do the 7x first, but you're going to add both parts.
Okay.
So then the next part would be the 5x plus, 5x minus, I'm going to cough again, excuse me. Excuse me, guys. 5x minus 3. And on the other side, you're going to be equal to what? 45 for the whole. That's the only geometry step in this whole problem, guys. The rest of it's all algebra. The setting it up is the geometry. You know how to solve this from your algebra class. If you don't, you can ask me questions because I also teach algebra. Please ask. The first step when you're doing this problem is to combine like terms. You've got a 7x here and a 5x. 7x plus 5x is going to give you 12x. Bring down the other stuff just like it is, so it ends up looking like 12x minus 3 equals 45. Once we do that, we want to get the 3 away from the 12, so we're going to add 3 to both sides. It's going to make it 12x equals 48. Divide both sides by 12, and the x is going to equal what? 4. Perfect. That's one answer. However, this answer on a geometry test would have 2 answer blanks. The first one is the x. The second one is that we need to find PM. To find PM, what would you do? Okay. The only part of it you need to plug it into is this part right here. It is about plugging it back in. We're only trying to find PM, so we only need to plug it back into this one. So it'd just be 7 times that 4, and that would give you that PM is equal to 28. That's how long that segment would be. So that would be the 2 answer blanks. X equals 4 and PM equals 28. Does anybody have any questions? Because we're going to do it again. We have only one more of these though, because then we're going on to something else. Okay guys, here we go again. This time you actually have to label. You've got to find y and AB if B is somewhere in between A and C. It says 5y minus 1 for AB, so here I'm going to put 5y minus 1. For BC, that's this part over here, I'm going to write 4y plus 2. And for AC, I'm going to write 28. So here's the geometry. Writing the equation is the geometry part. A part plus a part equals the whole. So it's going to be the part 5y minus 1 plus the part 4y plus 2, and it's going to equal the whole thing, which is 28. This actually has combining like terms in 2 spots before we do anything else. You've got to put these 2 together. And you're going to have to put these 2 together. So if we combine 5y plus 4y, that's going to give me 9y. But what do you get when you combine negative 1 and positive 2? Negative 1, it'd be like what, 2 minus 1?
That's 1.
It's 1. Just 1. Equals 28. Oh, pause for a second, guys. Did y'all see how big my 18 was? Great job for those of y'all that made it. Awesome job. If you got up there, wonderful. Check out your names when you get a chance. You should have seen the grades went in. I did the grades before I left on Friday, or Friday evening. I think I finished the last of them. I think y'all were done by the lunchtime. I don't hold grades. I put them up there. You're going to see them up there. What do the stars mean? You got 100. If you got stars, you made 100 on it, which is amazing. So great job to those that did that. But keep up the good work. If you didn't do great on this first one, guys, listen, we're shifting gears completely. If you didn't do great on that one, let's get on board and let's start with the geometry stuff, and let's get you started on getting a good grade. Okay, let's keep going, guys. From here, minus 1 makes it 9y equals 27. Divide it, and y equals, perfect. That's the first part of your answer. However, that's not the whole answer, because you also need to find AB. So you're going to have to plug it back into AB. So AB looks like this, 5y minus 1. I'm just writing it over here because there it is. AB is 5y minus 1. So I'm going to say 5 times 3 minus 1 makes it 15 minus 1, which makes it AB equals 14. Alright. Anything on this before we start talking about congruency and segment bisectors? That's what we got coming up next. Anything before we move on? Just make sure nobody's still writing. Okay, let's go to the next one, guys. Again, if you ever miss anything, you can find these videos on Canvas. Please feel free to go there and see what it is that you missed and need to catch up on. Okay, guys, congruent. Guys, the congruency symbol looks like this. It's an equal sign with a little like squiggly over the top. That thing's called a tilde. It's the name of it. Things have weird names, guys. That's just what it's called. The little thing on top is just called a tilde. It just means that they are the same shape and size. It means that an object, something physical, has the same shape and the same size. It's not just having the same number on it. Doesn't mean they're equal in measure. Equal means that one would be 5 and the other would be 5. This means that they're the exact same shape and the exact same size. That's what congruent means. We're talking about the objects themselves. These are congruency marks. It talks about them here. You're going to see lines on here. These things tell you that these are congruent to each other, so you would write that as AB is congruent to XY. You're going to have to write congruency things a lot throughout this year, guys. AB, the segment, is congruent to XY, the segment. That's the symbol for segment. That's in that set of notes you took. Now, that is different than them being equal to each other. When you write they're equal, you would write AB is equal to XY. That means the distance between A and B is equal to the distance between X and Y. When it doesn't have the line on top, that means distance. That's from that other set of notes. When it has the lines on top, you're going to put the congruency symbol in the middle. That means the objects themselves are the same. The shapes are the same, the sizes are the same. Okay. So down here on this segment, PQ, you're going to see that it has congruency marks. See how it says this side is the same as this side? That's because this line right here, SR, is a segment bisector. It is cutting this segment in half. A segment bisector is something that literally, y'all, what's the prefix bi mean? Like a bicycle means two. And sect means cut. So you're literally cutting a segment into two. That's what that means. So we have a formal definition. Yes, we'll have some formal definitions to get down because you're going to have to be able to use these. Let's go ahead and give you that first. It is going to be a line, segment, because anything can cut a segment in half, guys. Ray or plane. Those are objects. A line goes on forever. That's what we got here. SR is a line. It could be a segment. It could be a ray. It could be a plane that cuts a segment oh wait for you to get there. A line, segment, ray, or plane that cuts a segment into two equal parts. A line, ray, segment, or plane, line, segment, ray, or plane, I did it out of order, that cuts a segment into two equal parts. Guys, in this case, which one is the segment bisector?
RS.
Thank you. Segment bisector is RS, and it would have a line symbol over the top because you see the lines, it goes on forever. It's not a segment, it doesn't stop, it goes on forever. So it is line RS. That's how you say that. Line RS. Or SR, it doesn't matter. Okay, and it's going to have two equal parts created when it does that. What's going to be equal to each other is the line segment. PR is going to be congruent to the line segment what? RQ? Perfect. That is correct. Those two parts are going to be equal to, why does that matter? Because the last problem that we got today, the last set of problems, is all based on this concept. Everything is based on the fact that when you cut something in half, the two parts are equal. That's what the last concept, the last problems are. I think are there 3 problems with that picture? Yeah, let's go do our problems. Anybody on this before we go to our problems? Okay guys, let's knock this out. Here we go.
What's a plane?
A plane is like this tabletop right here. It's a flat surface, like your sheet of paper, but it just goes on forever. It's like the ceiling, but it would just go on forever in all directions. It's basically a flat surface. Okay? And it's made up of just a bunch of set of points. It just goes on forever and ever. Anybody else? It's not, you got to be careful, not plane, like, not flying, not like ordinary. It is a flat surface in geometry. It's spelled P-L-A-N-E, just so you know. Okay, here we go. For the last ones today, guys, it's all about setting up a geometry problem and solving the algebra equation once you set it up. The geometry is you setting it up. Here we go. AE, this piece right here is 30. Label it. ED, which is this part down here, is going to be 2x plus 6. Label it. Okay? See those congruency marks? See how they both cut each other in half? They're both bisecting each other. So what do you know about the 30 and the 2x plus 6? They're what to each other? Equal to each other. I heard it in a couple places. They're equal to each other. There's nothing for the whole thing, but we do know that this one equals this one, so we're just going to say that 30 equals 2x plus 6. That's the geometry. Setting those equal. Solving it is something from old stuff. We minus 6, minus 6. It's going to make it 24 equals 2x. We divide by 2, and 12 equals x. And on this problem, all they're asking you for is x. They don't ask for you to do anything else. The other two don't. They ask for something else. So your answer is just going to be 12. For the second one, you're starting with that BE right here is going to be 6x minus 7. I would circle it so you can keep it separate from the other numbers in the problem. It tells you that EC is going to be 5x minus 1. No, plus 1, I'm sorry. Plus 1. Okay, and based on the picture, what can we say about those two amounts?
They equal.
They're equal to each other. We just need to set them equal to each other. So here we go. Excuse me. To set, thank you. It's just talking all day. It does this. Hold on one second. Let me set them equal to each other and I'll answer your question. 6x minus 7 is going to equal 5x plus 1. It does not matter which one you put first. It does, as long as you set them equal, guys, that's all that matters. And the reason you know they're equal is these marks. These say they are equal. That's congruency marks. Yes, ma'am. Got it? Okay. Anybody else? Okay, here we go. To solve that, minus 5x minus 5x. Actually, that's kind of easy because what is 6x minus 5x? X. Minus 7 equals 1. And then we add 7, and x equals 8. However, if you put 8 down, it's going to be incorrect because look at what they're asking for. Are they asking you for x?
No.
They're asking you for BC, which means you have to plug it in to find out how long the BC, this whole thing is. Now listen, guys, both sides are what to each other? Equal. Do you need to plug it into both of them? No, pick one. I'm going to plug it into this one. I'm going to plug it into the 5x plus 1. That's going to be 5x plus 1, which when you plug that in is going to be 5 times 8 plus 1.
40.
This is going to be 40 plus 1, which is going to be 41. Now listen, if this side is 41, then this side has to be 41. There's not like any questioning, it has to be. So then what's my answer for BC?
41. 82.
It was cute though. At least you had conviction. I love it. That's great. So we're looking for BC, which is the whole thing, which is going to be 41 plus 41, which is 82. I love that conviction though. That's awesome. Keep them coming. I love it. Okay. Last one today. Gonna make me laugh. AE is going to be up here at 8x plus 11. So we're going to put a box around it so it doesn't look like the others. Guys, you got to do something to make it not look like all the other numbers on that picture, otherwise it gets so confusing. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, because you can't erase it all because I got to be able to see your work. Yep. You can draw another picture off to the side if it helps you to sketch, because it's real quick to sketch them. Like just, you don't have to make it formal, just like boom, boom, and then label it on here. You could absolutely do that. You can. Okay, here we go. This one, AE is 8x plus 11, and AD, the whole thing is going to be 20x plus 10. This is going back to that first concept, segment addition postulate. Here it is again.
So what is the like squiggly line middle one?
I went the whole way because they asked me for BC. That I was showing you that meant the whole thing, not just half of it. It was just saying that you needed the whole piece. That's all it was. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, listen. I got this part right here is 8x plus 11. I know that this whole thing is 20x plus 10. I don't know anything about ED yet. However, these are congruent to each other. So if this one is 8x plus 11, then this one has also got to be 8x plus 11. And now I can use my concept of a part plus a part equals the whole. Here we go. Set that up. It would be 8x plus 11 plus 8x plus 11 equals the whole thing, which is 20x plus 10. That's the geometry. That concept of a part plus a part equals a whole. The solving is algebra. This is the geometry, is setting this up. It's very different than an algebra class where they just give you the problem and you solve it. You've got to know how to set the problems up. Okay, combine like terms. What's 8x plus 8x? 16x. What is 11 plus 11? 22 equals 20x plus 10. Which variable are you going to move, the 16 or the 20? I would move the 16 because it's smaller. When you do that, you get 22 equals 4x plus 10. Now you don't have a choice. You have to move the number away from that variable. So we have to minus 10 from both sides. Going to make it 12 equals 4x. We divide both sides by 4, and 3 equals x. Look at the question though. Is it asking you for x?
No.
It's asking you for ED. So you've got to plug in for ED. ED is this one, guys. This is the one we're plugging in for, is the ED. So here we go. 8 times what number? 3. And then we do plus 11. That's going to be 24 plus 11,
35.
which is 35. That's ED. 35 is ED. Okay, guys. Now that's this set of notes. Take a minute, please, and put that in your notes section.